Emerald of Katong 2000. Testing right. Emerald of Katong 2006 can buy or not? Okay. I'm sure a lot of viewers who are Emerald of Katong 2006 can buy or not?
District 15 new launches, is it an oversupply?
Hi guys, this is Kaizer.
And I'm Zach.
I'm sure a lot of viewers who are watching this video right now knows a lot about EOK, and you probably want a second opinion to feel assured. Emerald Katong is a 99-year leasehold project in District 15, 846 units. It will be launching in 2 to 3 weeks time. So if you're interested in getting a unit in Emerald Katong, feel free to contact us. Our contact details are here. Before we dive into the topic today, let us understand a concept. Can we all agree that newer projects usually, most of the time, they are priced higher than the resale project? So in this slide over here, we can look at 3 projects. This is in Tampines area. If you're staying in this area, you have seen this project. First on the list, we have Santorini TOP in 2017. The average transaction price is at 1405 PSF. Secondly, we have the Alps Residences TOP in 2019, trending at 1446. And lastly, we have the Tapestry TOP in 2021. It is currently trending at an average price of 1670. So on to the next slide. I want you to focus your attention on the Alps Residences and the Tapestry. If you notice, Tapestry took the shortest time to achieve a $700 PSF gain in just 3 to 5 years. This is the beauty of investing into a newer project, because generally, newer projects tend to fare pretty well in the first 3 to 5 years. And assuming right now, let's travel back in time. In 2019, if you were to buy a property in the Alps Residences, you have a choice whether to buy a TOP units or brand new unit. TOP units in the Alps Residences at 1002 PSF, or the remaining units in the Tapestry at around the same price in 2019. Imagine if you were to buy into the Alps Residences in 2019, 1002 PSF, fast forward to 2024, which is right now, the latest transaction price is around 1006 PSF. You would potentially profit around $400,000. On the other hand, if you were to buy into the balance unit at around the same price in the Tapestry and fast forward to 2024 right now, you will be expecting a $600 PSF gain on your investment. Based on this case study, we can safely conclude that investing into a newer project gives you a better chance of making more money. On to the next slide. This is the phenomenon that we observe, and we would like to share what is going on in the property market right now in 2024. Firstly, let's look at the left hand side, the red color box. We notice that there are fewer new launches in the beginning of the year, especially good one. Hey Zach, do you remember what project was being launched at the start of the year?
I think I only can recall like Hill Heaven, the Hill at One North, perhaps Kasia's most recently, but there's not a number of like well-received Sora as well. So to be honest, this year is quite quiet. There's not many new launches coming out.
Yeah, like what Zach mentioned, at the beginning of the year, there was fewer new launches. Because of that, the new launches, even though they are being launched, they are not that attractive. They are not so well received among home buyers. So as a developer, when no one is buying, your sales is not good. The price tend to be very stagnant. They don't dare to increase price. So the price movement was pretty stagnant. On the right hand side, let's look at the green color box. We notice that resale projects tend to go up more in price. The reason is because more people are buying for own stay, so they are willing to pay a premium for a newly TOP units. And as a result, resale prices skyrocketed. Because of the combination of two, no one buy new launches, price pretty stagnant. More people prefer resale property, the price go up. So the gap between the two seems to be narrowed. And due to the phenomenon that we talked about earlier, me and Zach, we feel that investing in new launches close to resale price is the direction moving forward. Let us look at the next case study. So in this slide, you can see that the red color dots, which is Tembusu Grand, it was launched last year and it will TOP in 2 years time. Purple colors dot on the right hand side, this is Seaside Residences, a resale project which is about 3 years old. Let's look at their price performance. So first of all, let's look at the top portion first. Resale Seaside Residences. From last year, 2023, one of the unit, 1422, it was being sold at $2.34 million. And fast forward to recently, which is last month, one of the unit in 23 story, it was sold for $2.67 million. On paper, when we look at the chart, there was probably already a $200 to $300 PSF increase. Secondly, let's look at the new launch Tembusu Grand. One of the project, level 6 unit, it was transacted last year April at at $2.76 million, and one of the unit that was being transacted 2 months ago at September last month at $2.76 million, and we can see that overall on paper, the price did not move as much because of the reason we said earlier. Why is that so? A new launch property did not go up in price. Resale project make more money, the price go up more. Based on our observation, we feel that there's 3 points to it. The first point being, if you today own a first matrimonial home, when you buy a second property, you are still required to pay the 20% ABSD upfront in cash or CPF combined. Although you can get the 20% back upon TOP, but this 20% to most people, it will be a huge financial burden. Let me ask you, do you have 20% in cash or CPF to pay for the ABSD for your second property? The answer for most people would be no. Point number 2, for a lot of property owners and especially HDB upgraders, when they were to invest into a new launch property, they have to rent a place. It is quite troublesome, especially if you have kids and they are going to school. And point number 3, this is a big concern among new launch buyer, because if they were to rent while buying a new launch, they're afraid that the rental cost might eat into their new launch profit. So a lot of people, especially when they have housing needs, they prefer to pay a premium for resale property where they can move in immediately over a new launch project. That's why the phenomenon that we shared earlier, new launch prices did not go up as much and the resale prices go up a lot. So there's a gap between the two. The gap is being narrowed. On to the next slide. This is the topic for today. 2006 PSF. Can buy or not for Emerald of Katong. Okay, first of all, let's understand what is harmonization. Emerald of Katong is one of the projects that falls under the harmonization ruling. When you're buying a unit in Emerald of Katong, you are paying everything for the usable space, excluding the aircon latch. Over here, you can see that this is a 3+ study unit from Emerald of Katong. Assuming that this unit is going at $2.5 million, if this project is not a harmonized project, you will be looking at the old size 1019. Including the aircon latch. PSF will be a lot lower at $2,453. So under the new harmonization rulings, we are looking at a new size 969 square feet, excluding the aircon latch. But in exchange, you will see a higher price per square feet, which is at 2580. So to make the comparison fair, we will also apply the harmonization ruling to seaside residences. So these are the latest transactions that we get from seaside residences, averagely going at 2003 PSF. 2003 PSF means that you are paying everything, the usable space, plus the aircon latch at 2003. So if this is harmonized, you don't pay for the aircon latch, the per square foot will be 2005. EOK, Emerald of Katong, launching starting from 2005 to 2007. You want to make sure that your investment is safe, whether making money or not. This is a second topic. If you make a lot of money, we feel happy for you. But all in all, we feel that because of the resale price gap and EOK is pretty narrow, this is a relatively safe entry point, safe investment for you. You will actually have lower risk and higher chance of getting bigger returns.
Brothers and sisters, I'd like to ask me whether this place is oversupply, whether Lentor is oversupply. Then let me ask you a question. Is Singapore oversupply? Because everywhere is houses, everywhere is apartments, everywhere is condos. So the key question is to determine what is your holding horizon, when is a TOP happens so that there is an oversupply or not. So let's deep dive into this matter. Firstly, in order for us to understand whether this is really an oversupply. So if in the market last year, got 3 new launches in D15. Your Tembusu Grand first launch, then Grand Diamond and Continuum. So 3 of them launching together and they're supposed to TOP together, right? And this year, EOK is coming out. But now, if you look into their land prices, how much the developers has bought, Continuum as a freehold project, it has the highest PSF per plot ratio at 1004 PSF, and then Grand Diamond is about 1003,500, and then Tembusu Grand is 1003. Our nearest neighbor to Tembusu Grand, EOK, the developer only bought at 1069. There's almost $300 gap between these two. Imagine you are the developer today. Are you still happy to sell below what we expected about 2005 to 2007? You still have a good margin, right? It's just whether or not you want to sell at the market price or you can still accommodate a slight drop in prices. So what does this mean? If you buy something cheaper, you also can sell cheaper. If you buy something that's expensive, your margin for you to sell is tighter, right? So it's harder for you to sell. When developer bought this land so cheap already, they're very happy to sell because he know I what, the buyers what, investors what, everyone what. Hence, there has a potential to see their mood on that day whether they want to increase price or remain lower price. So now if we zoom into the 4 projects together on the map, you can see that by the order, Continuum is actually selling at 2008 PSF pre-harmonization, and in the post-harmonization, they are going to about 2009, 3000 if you remove the aircon latch, for example. And next to it is actually Grand Diamond. So Grand Diamond land price was slightly more expensive to almost freehold level is because it's next to Dakota MRT station. I think every Singaporean want to buy is next to MRT station. You look at Norwood Grand last week, so 84%. As long as the MRT station, all the Singaporeans just cover eyes and buy.
I also want to buy.
Yeah, so now if you see that Grand Diamond was averagely sold at 2005 BSF pre-harmonization. Again, if you take into the factor and apply into post-harmonization, it's about 2007 like that. So we zoom back to Tembusu Grand, our closest neighbor for EOK. It was actually selling about 2004 closing to 2005 BSF pre-harmonization because all these three are not harmonized projects. And then again, we factor in the harmonization. It's going about 2006, 2007. So let me bring you back to EOK, the Emerald of Katong. We estimate about 2005 2007 PSF. Again, the land price they bought is about 1,069. So if they're selling around this price, the developer will be happy. You will realize that we are actually entering a new launch, newer project at a very similar price post harmonization with all these 3 other developments that have came out last year. So what do you think? Do you think this is a good buy? But the most important thing here is that we enter safely, right? Now we mentioned about timeline. People ask me, is it oversupply? But look at when you want to exit and determine whether it's oversupply or not. So look at this timeline itself. If you buy in today in 2024, right, we all know that in the next 2 years, there could be interest rate drops as Fed has announced in about 3 weeks ago. There will be 1 cut end of this year, 2 cuts next year, and then also 2 more cuts in 2026. So right, if anyone's still sitting on the side, typically based on our data and what we've noticed back in 2020 and 2021, when there's low interest rate environment, prices skyrocketed. And then moving forward now, many people are priced out. If you want to buy something below 1.5 million for 2-bedder, then there's nothing you can consider. You buy a 1-bedder below 1 million, there's almost no stock unless you buy really old projects or small projects that most people are trying to sell off. And again, in 2026 and 2027, we all know that Tembusu Grand, Grand Diamond, and the Continuum, these 3 mega D15 projects going to TOP between 2026 to 2027. So just nice in time, they get to enjoy a low interest rate cut from now to 2026 or 2027. But you notice that EOK does not TOP at the same time as them. EOK is only going to build finish 3 to 4 years from now. We take it, if it's 2028, you have about 1 to 2 years price appreciation from these 3 projects. Because when these 3 projects are launched, as Kaizer mentioned just now, a lot of the homeowners or people are looking to buy, to move in, they're definitely looking at these 3 projects. They will be willing to pay a premium like your seaside residences to move in immediately, to stay as soon as possible. They cannot afford to wait if they have kids or they want to get in a certain primary school, for example. Because of that, I'll kind of sum the 3 projects TOP together. But in fact, we might be able to benefit from these 3 where they already have some price appreciation after TOP, and then now it's our turn to TOP, and we're not fighting with anyone. EOK is not fighting with anyone, and perhaps if Tembusu Grand got units selling together, we're selling at close to their price and probably much higher than what you have really bought if you buy today.
Hey bro, so what you're saying, right, can I understand it as they TOP first? Grand Diamond, Tembusu, and the Continuum. I TOP later. Can I use their price as my stepping stone, my benchmark? Because my neighbor, they already sell at this price. I can just start from here. I cannot be selling lower than these people, right? So is it an advantage to me?
If you ask me this question, then I ask all the sellers out there, when your neighbor is selling at this price, do you want to sell at the same price or higher? And if your neighbor has already appreciated from the time they TOP, and now you are a EOK owner, right? You definitely want to price what is in the market. If Tembusu Grand, for example, they have about 300 PSF appreciation, you can take additional about 100 PSF appreciation more from there, because when the TOP to your TOP, there could be some resale transaction that has really moved up their pricing. Just an example, don't take too much pinch of salt, but just now you see a tapestry example, this is something like that. Since you are here, we want to share with you what's happening in 2021 and 2022 when the prices went up so much, even though interest rates start to went up. That was because during that time, the supply was very low. You can see from this chart, this is taken from URA itself, how much completion projects coming out in particular year. So right now in 2024, you can notice that a lot of your friends who bought new launches in 2017, 18 and 19, right, they immediately what quite a bit because they are buying at a period of high supply where, for example, we look at Tapestry itself, Affinity, Florence, Treasure and Tampines, Whistler Grand, I can just name a few more and more. But basically during that time, the developers have a lot of balance units to sell. They are not increasing the price because of the high supply. And fast forward to 2021 and 2022 when there's low supply environment, all these of your friends who bought new launches in 1819, they are able to exit safely during the period of low supply environment because at every particular year, you have homeowners looking to buy brand new. And of course, this is almost the similar time that we are in. As you mentioned earlier, 2023, prices are slow, very little new launches, a lot of supply are coming up. And if you're willing to take this opportunity and buy in, say this year or early next year, we are going into an environment of low supply in the next 3 years. Let me just show you this chart where we've done an analysis on, for example, just now I mentioned 2018, 2019, and 2020. Low supply environment created a huge price spurt because you have more demand on a particular year than the supply. If there's more supply, like in 2023, the prices become very stagnant, it moves slower, or even went down a little bit early this year. And this should be the right time for you to be greedy if others are fearful. Fast forward to the next 3 to 4 years, if that is your holding horizon, not just you kind of sum the 3 D15 projects TOP, but also you're entering at the right time where the market supply is lower than norm. Hence, you position yourself in a good time where the supply is low, you're entering at a close to resale price like your seaside residences, and you're able to catch the next wave of SSD buyers as well. So in our opinion, it's very safe entry. It has a right exit timing. And lastly, we know that how we usually analyze a project is that we use this scorecard. It's called the Property What Scorecard PPS. We look into this couple of points to see whether a project deserves a 0.5 or 1 score. So if it ticks a box, that means it's 1. If it's a half-half thing, then we'll put 0.5. If a totally no, we'll put a 0. Let me share with you the points for this PPS. So EOK is a brand new launch. As we mentioned, if you buy a new launch that is very close to resale pricing, it is a very safe investment. And if possible, you can be a day one investor, as you can see from our previous example, Tapestry, all those. If you're buying earlier, you will stand to get a lower PSF entry. So next, we look at whether there's any URA transformation in that area. For us, we don't think there's much transformation taking place in the next couple of years. Bayshore is too far away. We don't talk about Changi. Kallang also quite a distance. And all the Thomson East Coast line in the East Coast District area are already operational and has finished built. So we give a score of 0 for this. And layout, again, what we mentioned earlier, harmonization as a pioneer, you're a first mover of the project in D15 for harmonization. Your internal living area is 100% and very spacious if compared to the other 3 launches. If you come to the show flat and take a look, for proximity to MRT station, as long as below 10 minutes walk, we think it's a tick for us. And we take an apple-to-apple comparison to Tembusu Grand, our closest neighbor. EOK is actually nearer to the Tanjong Katong MRT station. About 5 to 7 minutes walk. If you walk faster, maybe 3 minutes. The next point will be the primary school effect. Very importantly for parents or resale buyers looking into family needs, primary school is the top priority for many parents when they want to buy into properties. And this project has 2 primary schools within their 1 km radius, the Tanjong Katong Primary School and Head Girls School, which are quite popular in the area. And then the next factor will be the entry price. Again, our entire video has talked about the entry price that you should buy a new launch project that is close to resale pricing, hence it will be very safe. If you look at a broader city fringe RCR project, you know Mayor Blue has launched, what was the launch price of Mayor Blue?
Based on the article published, right, it says that averagely, right, 3250.
Oh, Mayor Blue is so nearby, but it was sold 50% at 3002 PSF. And then if you go and see resale market at Amber Park, even though it's freehold, it's trending about 3000 PSF in the resale market. And if you look at other RCR areas, even at Holland V area, it's selling at resale at about 3000, 3001. So for RCR, if you know the resale market has already tested about 3000, you know that there's a buffer for you to catch up from 2005 to 3000. So to us, it's quite safe. And again, the another factor is very popular nowadays is that people like to buy mega development or at least a very decent size, more than 500 units, because it promotes transaction volume so that your resale capability and operations can go. EOK has 846 units, definitely primed for very good transaction volume volume when it TOP, quite similar to the other three D15 projects, but Tembusu Grand only have about 600 plus units. For rentability, in case some people were afraid that your capital appreciation strategy doesn't work, so you want to find someone to cover a mortgage or like whether it will fetch a good rental yield or not. In my own opinion, most of my rental, a lot of the tenants like to stay in D15 because it's a lifestyle hub. You can go to East Coast Park, you get to enjoy very vibrant and nice vibes areas like your Katong, Amber area. Basically, D15 is no lack of tenants. And also, Tembusu Grand and EOK is right next to Canadian International School. International families aspects probably looking at these newer condos to stay in. And if we talk about exit strategy, we again just briefly talk about whether there's oversupply, and if your timing horizon is right 3 to 5 years or if it's 7 years, we are not exiting with a competitor at the moment. The exit strategy is quite clear. You also exit at a time where the supply is lower. And lastly, we look at the developer. So Sim projects typically have thrived in profitability, and then they are quite well known. We have taken a look at some of the OCR and RCR projects. Most recently, Treasure at Tampines. You have friends who bought into that project. They sure hot a lot one. I'm sure EOK and Sim as developer, it will give a good score. And most importantly, the entry price is right. You have a developer with a good track record, and we're kind of safe. So with a score of 9, based on our scorecard, EOK is definitely a no-brainer for us. And if you're looking to buy, looking to see the show flat, a very nice, harmonized show flat, we can stay together happily, come and look for us. This is our contact below. And if you also want to know what kind of unit types or which layout is suitable for family or for investment, we can have a chat.
So that's our 2 cents on Emerald of Katong. So that's it. That's the video. That's our 2 cents on Emerald of Katong. If you would like to visit the show flat or you have questions about other new launches, feel free to contact us. And please stay tuned. Do not forget, please subscribe because the next video we're going to talk about Chuan Park. See you in the next one.